Hey guys, I'm here in Sydney with my friend Jack, who's incredible. He is a, what are you, performance coach, fitness coach, you're a personal trainer?
Yeah, fitness coach. Let's just go with that,
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. We're gonna go through a bit of a session today on glutes because I think that glutes are an underrated muscle group to train.
I think they're an underrated muscle group to train well. That's what I would say, yeah. Like if you look on Instagram at the moment, you look on social media, tons of glute content, but so much of it is wrong, so.
Yeah, and I really wanted to put this out there for you guys. People may want to see what I do for training. I get so many people asking, what do you do for training? I'm like, oh, well. But what I really love is the fact that I'm getting guided today by a professional. I really think everyone, if you can afford it, everyone should have a personal trainer, because even for me, not just so like for the way that you move, but for motivation. I can't think of anything worse actually than just sitting in a gym doing my own workouts. It's like I'm offloading and outsourcing all of my cognitive load to somebody else.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's that extra. I know I've always found having a coach as well, if you can take as much of the thought process out of your own training as possible, especially like I'm in the fitness industry, you're kind of called it fitness adjacent the other day because you're health space, fitness space, both kind of in one. Like you do this on a day-to-day basis all the time for other people. So being able to just get somebody else to do it, take all the thought process away and just be able to enjoy it and focus on performance is key. It's great.
Yeah, all right, let's get into it.
Let's jump into it.
Back extension is for your lower back, right?
If you do it in a certain way. The way we're going to think about it is we're going to think about an RDL on the way down and a hip thrust on the way up. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut the range on the concentric so that we can keep it more in the glutes and the hamstrings. As you come down, try not to move from your lower back. Simply try and move from your hips. Now this is a really weird thing to do because you want to just lean over.
No, so I'm tensing my glutes.
Yeah, don't worry too much about tensing your glutes. We still want the hip to be able to move well.
Okay.
So right now what Louisa's got is as she comes up, hold it there if you can for a sec. See, we've got this arch in the back. So this is where the lower back gets involved a little bit more. So what I want you to do is I actually want you to breathe into your upper back a little bit more, round your shoulders forward a tiny little bit. And then as we come down, think about pushing your hips to the back of the room and then driving them hard into the pad as you come back up. And as you come back, sit into your heels a little bit more.
I can feel my hammies, is that?
Yeah, hammies are going to be there as well. We might move the pad up one, I think.
I mean, just such a simple exercise when executed properly can mean all the difference.
Absolutely.
It really is. So when you actually don't train well, it doesn't matter how hard you lift, you're probably not getting the right muscle groups.
Yeah. So again, feet turned out a tiny little bit.
This actually feels better.
Okay, cool.
So
we're going to use this pad as an anchor point, and we're going to push the hips back. Just think about the hips traveling back, then drive them in hard and squeeze. And don't come up quite so far. So down, 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 squeeze, and come up to roughly about here. And stick in that range there. That's it. Push the hips back, push the hips back, push the hips back, and drive them in hard. And straight away now, we've got less movement at your lower back. Good, good. Do 2 or 3 more.
I don't even think we're going to need weights with this. I'm already feeling it.
Cool. We'll go 1 more rep after this. And rest. Perfect. Oh. Yeah, nice.
All right, we're done now.
Great workout, guys. Catch you next time. Yeah, sweet. Do you want to try and add the band?
Yeah.
Are you happy with? Okay, let me quickly put a plate on it to anchor it down.
He's got the 5 kilos.
We're just going to use the plate to anchor this because this back extension can be a bit funky. So band's going to come up, and this is going to sit kind of over the back of your shoulders like you would with a barbell, essentially. So we're going to try and sit that on there, and then just grab onto it with your hands if you can. Yep, cool. Now, what we have to do is we have to accelerate really hard into that top position against the band tension. Cool. So we're going to control on the way down, we're going to get less load on the eccentric, and then we're going to drive up hard into the band. Good.
By hard, you mean fast?
Yeah, by hard we go fast. That's it, nice. And then we've got that nice deliberate pause at the top in the tension that the band's going to provide. Yeah, good.
Definitely feel that. I'm actually getting way more glute activation now than hammies.
Awesome, and we'll talk about why that is in a second. That's it, keep going. Good, control on the way down, and then up hard and fast. Yes. Good, control, and fast, yes.
Woo.
Keep it going.
Should chin be tucked in as well?
Ideally, yeah. Yeah, where you've got your chin, perfect placement. Good. Let's go 3 more. Good. Last one, control. Drive up. There we go. Come down, I'll get that off you. Beautiful. How'd that one feel?
Really good.
Good?
Good, hard. My goal now, I'm in my mid-30s, even though I look 29. That was a joke.
Not a day over 25, no.
So I'm now banking, okay, over the next 5 years, I'm going to reach 40, and 40, that's when things go downhill. As per the academic literature, we see massive acceleration in loss in strength, muscle mass. So what we want to do is, what I train my private patients to do and what we train our coaches to learn is, how can we compound as much muscle mass and strength as possible? It turns out that strength is arguably more important than muscle mass, of course, but muscle mass is still extremely important. So I'm literally training for my 40s.
Yeah. Well, can I ask you a question on that? When it comes to the declines that you kind of see in muscle mass, in strength, and obviously there's going to be a natural decline anyway, but do you feel that the higher rates of decline as you get to that age are more down to people just, lots of people kind of stop training. They get to their mid-30s, late 30s, life takes over, and they start kind of allow, I don't want to say like let themselves go sort of thing, but you know what I mean? Like they kind of allow that side to slide? Or is it just kind of this inevitable thing that you're always going to be fighting against?
It's inevitable. It's many things. It's what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
We also see loss in mitochondrial function. And then part of what a lot of people don't understand is you're lifting weights with your brain. It's the neuromuscular connection that's most important. We get a decline in a lot of our synapses as we get older as well. That's the connections between the brain. So everything comes to a halt at around the 4th decade of life.
Okay, yeah.
And then you've also got the VO2 max component.
Yeah.
We've also got atrophy in the heart muscle itself as well. So pumping blood, resting heart rate goes up if you're not fit. So it's actually a struggle to maintain health and fitness for longevity. You have to struggle through it.
Okay. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, that's the thing is, we don't realize as well, like when we go to run, right? I used to be a triathlete, and I remember like we used to do glute activation exercise because it was fundamentally the most important. That and VMO when you're running. You don't realize, like if you film yourself running, at times if you're not stable in your quads, you end up you're running in slow motion. You're like this. It's so interesting.
Yeah, that pelvic instability.
Yeah. You need that as you get older. Hip hinging and especially for women who are thinking about potentially bearing a child one day, which I am. I'm also planning for that. It's like I'm planning for to be able to like have a nice birth. Everything is like pelvic floor, hip stability. You don't think about that because you actually decline when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, all my girlfriends now, most of them, I don't know why, they're all pregnant, and you just see the decline in their abilities to like run, walk, lift weights, especially after they give birth. They're like, oh my God, I'm back at the gym and I'm dying. It's interesting and scary at the same time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I don't give birth at any point in my life, I have to say. I don't think I'd cope.
All right, so can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is this also out? Is this like...
So no, with the feet with this now, so we had out on the back extension and we would have out on a hip thrust, but we want to actually bring the feet facing straight forward for an RDL. But what we want to make sure that we get with the RDL is, again, it's all going to be a movement from the hip. Okay. So there, we're kind of as you're coming down, you're sort of sitting a little bit like this. It becomes very squatty.
Kind of like a deadlifty kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. But
Okay.
really with the RDL, because the RDL is a hovering exercise, we're
Yeah.
not coming to the floor, essentially what we just want to do is we just want to think about where our hips are going. So our hips are just literally going to go back into space. We're going to keep the knee soft exactly how you had,
Yeah.
but just think about the hips going back as far as they can without any more movement. And generally you'll end up somewhere just kind of below the kneecap, like this,
okay.
and then we drive the hips back through like so.
Okay, great.
If we come down too far, we kind of turn it into more of a squat.
Yeah.
Yes, the glutes work, but now this is where the quads and the adductors start to get a little bit more involved as well.
How's the form?
Form's good.
Okay.
Form's good. But now we're going to be a bit more aggressive on the way up,
Yeah.
like we were on the back extension.
Like that?
That's it. There we go.
Why is that?
Well, for this, going to be hardest at the bottom. So we want to be able to overcome all of that tension at the bottom and all of that force down there by driving up really hard. If we stand up passively, it's going to make our job a lot harder to come into full hip extension.
Okay.
Cool, let's do 2 more. And one last one. Cool, right, I reckon we go a bit heavier. Well, that is something that people need to pay more attention to, is the footwear when they're lifting.
Why is that?
Well, it's just, again, it's foot pressure, right?
Okay.
So it's like, you know, if you're, for example, with an RDL, I really like the cue heavy feet, which a coach friend of mine taught me, which basically just means that your whole foot is pushing down into the floor really heavy, as if you're wearing like steel cap boots.
Toes and everything.
Toes and
Yeah.
everything, yeah. And what that does is, A, it allows you to kind of cue a bit more internal rotation at the hip, so you can actually sit into your hinge better. But you know how people always tell you to sit on your heels when you do an RDL or you do any kind of glute exercise? If you do that and you sit too far on your heels, one, you're going to keep a stiffer knee, which is going to end up being more hamstring than it is glute because you're going to be able to push further down, but you're also creating a really unstable environment. Like if I'm hinging heavy weight, I'll turn side on so the camera can see it, but if I'm sitting all the way back onto my heels and my toes are coming off the floor like that, like it's an exaggeration,
Exactly. But it is.
But it's exactly what
Slightly,
it is,
yeah.
and it's just the shoe kind of makes up for it if you've got running shoes on. But you're just creating a lot more instability and you're shifting your weight too far back.
You're not getting that neuromuscular activation either. Like you want to be able to like lift from every point in the
Exactly.
plane. Are we doing
I
12s, 13s?
I think you can go 14s.
Wow.
I think we can jump. I think we can jump up.
I don't know who you think I am, but I like it.
That just looked really, really easy. You know what? We'll come over to here as well, so that you've got
Being
the solid,
mean to me, which is what I need.
solid flooring underneath your feet as well.
Oh, brilliant. All right.
So a bit more stability here.
Are we
So
ready?
again, just thinking of, we want heavy feet, so push your heel and your big toe hard down into the floor, and then sit the hips back. That's it. We're going to control on the way down, and then we're going to drive up strong. Good. 2, 3, and up. Yes. Good. Yes. Again. I want 2 more. Good, last one. And rest. How'd
You know
that feel?
what? Yeah. No, they felt good. It's so funny. You can lose your mind. When I say lose your mind, my mind started wandering
Oh, yeah.
just then, and then you lose control of the actual exercise and like make sure you come up fast. I was thinking about the tasks I have to do after this.
Yeah, you get distracted.
You get distracted in your mind, really.
Yeah.
It's like insane. And then you forget about controlling.
But then one rep goes out and it like snaps you
You're
back
fucked.
and you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Those look good on the whole.
Yeah?
Weight looked easy again.
Actually, the weight was good.
Yeah.
I forgive him. Yeah.
Everyone's always capable of lifting more than they think they are. As long as you're set up right.
Yeah.
So you were set up perfectly there. Your stance width was really good.
Yeah.
Foot pressure was really good. Hand position was solid. All you have to do on an RDL is just sit the hips back and drive them through. That's all you were doing. It was the only movement that was happening, which is great. So as long as you're set up well, that's going to feel really easy.
Is this
because you're in
upper
your strongest
glute,
position.
lower glute,
So-
all glute?
Technically any exercise that's kind of like working your glute max is like all of your glute max. It's really hard to kind of, like I'd go as far as to say you can't segregate the upper fibers from the lower fibers entirely. This, however, is going to work more of the lower. So those fibers that kind of wrap around, they have the best kind of propensity to perform hip extension when we're in this position down in the stretch and bring you back up.
Yeah.
So that kind of glute ham tie-in. When we did the back extension before, because we've got that slight external rotation, a little bit of abduction going on as we get to the top, again, it's an all-round glute max exercise, but we're gonna get a bit more working in the upper glute max as well. But the big difference is the back extension, more towards the squeeze, the RDL, more towards the stretch. And the reason we sequence them like this is because in the RDL, there's nothing going on at the top. You holding the weight up here isn't dependent on what your glutes are doing, it's dependent on how much weight you can hold on to, right? Yeah, so you've got the forearms working.
Yeah.
So if we fatigue the glutes with the back extension in the squeeze, there's no overlap to this movement. Whereas if we do the stretch first and we fatigue that bottom range, we're still training that when we perform the back extension. So that overlap might limit your ability on that exercise, whereas that exercise isn't going to limit this one so much. With the addition of the straps, if you're feeling your forearms a little bit.
I use these for my deadlifts.
Yeah. Yeah, so any glute
Stepping up,
exercise that requires...
You know, you actually feel the, you feel your grip strength as well, pulling.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what am I doing with these? Am
So
I going this way?
go from out to in. Yeah, just go with that, then wrap it around a little bit.
Okay. All right. No, these are not light.
These are going to be a little bit heavier, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll shoot for 8 reps.
We're going to shoot for 8 reps.
Shoot for 8 reps here.
All right,
So
let's do it.
take a second to make sure that your setup is good, exactly like the last set. Good stance, good foot pressure, deep breath, tuck the chin, keep the ribs stacked, and then the hips back, yes. And then hard, yes, good. So we control, and then hard, yes. Good, Louisa.
4.
Nice. 4. 5, good. 6, good. Control on the way down. There we go. Drive up hard. That's 7. This is 8, but we're going to do 2 more after this. Good. Sorry. All right. And rest. Yeah, good. Happy days.
Okay, so I look at myself on the side.
Yeah.
My ass used to be like that. Now they're just hanging, and I'm like, is that age? Because that's really frustrating me. I don't want them to do that.
Well, I mean, the main thing I would say is like, what's your training been like the last couple of years? Has your training changed?
Yeah. I look at these chicks. Some of them have got these amazing peach asses, and
Cool.
it's like, I want that peach.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they do it. And
Well-
they must be just in there training glutes.
Look, so like, there's so many different factors, right? So for me, for example, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I think one of the reasons why people got drawn to glute content on my page at the time when I started posting it was like, A, very much a female dominant audience because it was mostly who I was working with at the time, but B, I'm a guy who has pretty good glutes. And part of that is just A, genetics. You know, like if I look at my family, my dad's glutes are like pretty solid actually for a dude who's never resistance trained as well. And my mum's the same, my brother's the same. So genetically, there's a component there.
Yeah.
The second thing as well though is like, for me biomechanically, everything I do is hip dominant. So when I squat, I fold like a deck chair. All my lunges, all my split squats, all my squats are always going to be more glute dominant for me. So there's an emphasis on that as well. Some people are more quad dominant in terms of how they execute movements. Some people are more glute dominant. A lot of these girls, as you said, a lot of their brand and a lot of what they film and all that sort of stuff is glute dominant. It's just glutes, 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 glutes. And if you think about it, like, even if you're training glutes properly once or twice a week, if you're then going into the gym 3 or 4 other days a week and filming glute training, even if it's like really low intensity, if you're just doing all that extra volume on top, it's probably going to count for something eventually, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just over the top amount of doing it. So yeah, there's probably an emphasis on that, but also a lot of the leggings and stuff you can buy these days, they hike your glutes up. I saw a really good video on TikTok the other day, and this lady's wearing just normal leggings
I
from
need
like
those
Kmart.
leggings.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to invest in them.
I have no sponsors, so I
Yeah.
have no discount codes, unfortunately, but.
All right, let's get this. My
right.
rest time. Should it be like 2 minutes rest time?
2 to 3, yeah.
Okay.
Some people like longer. Depends how heavy you're lifting, depends on like.
Doesn't Sebastian like longer?
That's because he's so strong.
He's a big boy.
But also for the bigger lifts, you want longer to rest, yeah. Good. Control on the way down, hips back, hips back, hips back, hips back, and drive up hard. Yes, good. Hips back, hips back, hips back, drive up. Yes.
Oh my God, it's been years since I've done this.
It's good, looks good. Good, control. Control, 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 up. Yes, good. Good, and one more. Yeah, well done. Good set.
You know, my absolute distaste right now on social media is, especially amongst women, I am a female looking at other females in the space of health and wellness, going so hard on toxic load of things such as phthalates. I'm drinking out of a glass bottle right now just to minimize, I guess, the toxic load, right?
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, toxins and this and that. We have a great filtration system in our body to filter out some of these toxins, right?
Yeah.
You have to be consuming a lot for it to really have an effect on you. Yes, it can have phthalates and like different things can have an effect on maybe fertility, your endocrine system, maybe your hormones, estrogen. But what I'm not seeing a lot of is women talking about exercise, doing exercise, strength training, muscular hypertrophy. They're not talking about the science of that, but they're more than happy to talk about this is a day in the life of my shopping at Erewhon. I think, like, what are you, like, if you can't squat, hip hinge, if you can't deadlift appropriately, if you're not doing it at least like 2 or 3 times a week, I mean, not those specific exercises, but, you know, strength training at least 3 times a week, but you're out there like bashing the toxic loads and you're showing us your shopping. It's like, you know, I get it. It's just that it's easy.
Yeah.
Anyone can go and do their shopping.
It's pseudoscience, right,
It's,
that they're sharing.
I mean, there is evidence to show that things such as glyphosate and BPAs and all of those different things has an effect on the endocrine system. But, I mean, rarely am I seeing these people, these longevity experts, who have no education, by the way, academically, talking about the science of exercise, which is far more important as it relates to longevity, neurodegenerative diseases, cancer mitigation.
But do you think, what would that be more down to? Do you feel like that's down to people genuinely believing that? Like they genuinely believe the scare tactics and all that, like, you know, microplastics and all this sort of stuff, like they're so bought into that idea? Or do you feel like it is literally just, it's like in fitness, a lot of this stuff is down to, if you say something controversial, you'll get more likes, you'll get more clicks, you'll get more views, you'll get more of that. Like when it comes to more the medical side of things and the health community and people who are trying to kind of interject with no academic background, do you feel like it is just them being like, well, this shocks people? Or do you feel like these people genuinely believe it? Like, do you feel like they're genuinely bought into it?
I think they're genuinely bought into that because I think, this is my humble opinion, I think it's easier to eliminate. If you're going to talk about something profoundly on a social media platform, you have to show that you're doing it. You have to show that maybe you know something about it.
Yeah.
It is so much easier to pick up an organic apple and say, today I shopped at the farmers markets and I'm eating an organic apple because the other ones at the supermarkets have been on the shelf for so long and you lose the nutrient density within that apple. That's so much easier than what we're doing, which is actually, this has like got a huge load on my body, on my mind, on my brain, and it actually hurts and it takes time.
Yeah. So, reverse lunges. So the way I love structuring glute workouts, we've got our shortened position exercise first, which is going to be a back extension or a hip thrust. It's just in this gym, hip thrust machine, so much easier than barbell. We don't have a machine here, so I'd rather do the back extension. RDLs, good morning, squats, all those sort of things that train more of the lengthened position, they then come next for the reasons we talked about. And then we're gonna finish with a single leg exercise. Now this could be one of like so many. This could be a kickback or something if you wanted more glute medius, but we're gonna do a reverse lunge so that we can train a bit more of the stretch. And it's less cruel than making you do Bulgarians again after the trauma from before. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna be up on the plate so that we get a bit more of a stretch. You're gonna start kind of in your RDL stance. You're gonna push your hips back a tiny little bit, so you're almost like starting a hinge. And then from here, you're gonna maintain this torso lean position. You're gonna have dumbbells either side here. We'll start with light weights. And then as you step back, you're gonna try and stay in line with that RDL stance. Drop down, keep almost like a 90-degree angle between hip, knee, and ankle. And then you're gonna drive back through into the midline.
Like that.
That's it, and then you're gonna drive back through to the midline. So have a slight hinge before you step back. That's it, and try and maintain that torso position as you come back. Anchor yourself on your heel, and then drive back to the midline.
Like that?
Yeah, exactly like that.
And do I get back up like this?
No, so you can stay in that slight forward lean, and then it's gonna be explosive steps back to the midline.
FYI, I can feel my rec fem in this, if you didn't think that I couldn't.
Well, you got bodyweight first set if you want.
Yeah.
Go through for 8 reps.
You stay on the same leg, don't you?
Yeah, stay on the same leg. Yeah, perfect.
This is getting everything, not just quads.
Yeah, so this will get glutes.
Not just glutes.
This will get glutes, quads, and adductors.
Adductors are the ones that bring your leg in.
Yeah, so on the inside of the thighs in here.
Cerilis? Gracilis? Cerilis. Gracilis.
Gracilis.
Oh, Jesus Christ. See how I'm like...
Is that balance, stability? Yeah.
We're moving on to the second leg now.
Try the second leg. And now this time, because we've had the easier one of staying in the hinge, we're going to now fully extend the hip as we come through. So we're going to come back, we're going to drive through, and we're going to push up into full extension.
Why?
We'll complete that rep. So the first, just doing a little bit of a hinge the whole time, the first time, just to allow you to kind of anchor yourself a bit more, less to think about. But this is how we actually want to perform the rep, is we want to come into full extension. So start with that slight hinge, step back, forward lean, keep the hinge, and then drive up into extension at the top.
He's killing me, by the way.
So stick.
Like a farmer.
A little bit of extra stability.
All right.
Channel your inner Gandalf, if you've seen Lord of the Rings.
And my feet facing forward, toes?
So try and keep your feet facing forward, and again, find kind of like your RDL stance, because that's going to be your most kind of like balanced position. And then really try and, as you come back, less of like a big step like that, because you're going to lose balance. And try and almost just think of dragging your foot back and through. Drag it back and through. That's it. Yeah. Closer it stays to the floor, the more stable you're going to be. Good. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so we're holding the dumbbell contralaterally, so opposite side, just for more stability.
Stability. I always wondered about that.
Just stability.
All right, we're going.
We're
going.
going.
Psych myself up.
You can rest a little bit between legs if you need to, or if you want to just get it done. It's done quick.
You know the worst thing that I'm not doing today, which I always do, I wear my heart rate monitor.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Even for weightlifting?
Every time I exercise, even if I'm walking.
Okay. I'm going to ask you about that in a second because I'm interested.
If you really want to get specific about training, you want to wear your heart rate monitor. It's like the best way to monitor. I mean, I don't wear the Apple Watch or anything else. I wear a Garmin, but I also wear the Garmin HR Pro Plus.
Okay.
In my opinion, there's only 2 training zones you need to be in. Zone 2 and Zone 5.
Okay.
You want to be in Zone 2, arguably, obviously, a lot more than Zone 5. And then Zone 1, which is just sitting.
Yeah.
That's the only place. That's why I'm not a big proponent. This is a very controversial statement. I'm not a big proponent of HIIT training. Because you're kind of you're in Zone 2, then you're in Zone 4, then you're in Zone 3, then maybe you're in Zone 5 for like a small amount. Like Zone 5
if you can push yourself hard enough.
Yeah, zone 5 is that spewing
Yeah.
stage where you're like, I'm going to vomit, and it's kind of the sting stage.
Yeah.
I call it.
Yeah.
You only want to be in there like 20 minutes a week,
Okay.
like in total, like in order to like increase your VO2 max, right? Everything else should really be in zone 2.
Okay.
I mean, generally when I weight train, I'm in probably zone 3 as well, weight training, but that's why I wanted to wear my monitor. I forgot to wear it today.
Probably be over zone 2 with these.
Oh,
I
definitely.
imagine.
I can feel it.
You know, and you can obviously answer this when you're in your rest period, but yeah, it'd be good to get like 3 general recommendations that every woman could start doing now that we're in the new year.
What
starting
age
the year
group?
strong. Good question. I mean, most of my clients are kind of 30 to 50 sort of age group. I would say it's a wide spread. Good.
That's 7, in case you weren't counting.
I got you. That's good.
You know, one thing that's underutilized amongst the age group of women you just described, getting your hormones tested. Where are you? You know, where are you at with that? Do you know if you're perimenopausal, if you're menopausal? Some women are going into perimenopause at 45, 46, 47. That has a huge, you know, you've got to think about that.
Yeah.
Also deficiencies. Are you taking supplements for no goddamn reason because you haven't had your blood tested in the last year or 2? That's a first thing before recommendations.
There we go. Nice. It's 8. 2 more. 9. And 10. Nice.
And there you have it, folks.
My blood's done, even for me, like a couple of weeks ago, just because I was curious to see where I was at.
Yeah.
I was like, everything's going to be absolutely fine. Turned out my liver enzymes were a little bit high, so there were a few adjustments I had to make there. And yeah, a little bit deficient in magnesium and all those sorts of things that you'd expect with training and stuff like that.
Magnesium's so important because it's a cofactor for so many different enzymes in the body. You know, we can usually even raise vitamin D levels, which are a lot of people, not in Australia, in the United States, have a vitamin D deficiency. Actually, 1 billion people globally have vitamin D deficiency. You can often raise it just by supplementing with magnesium.
Really, with magnesium?
So for women in that age group, so you've got, obviously, get your blood test done. We've got this pyramid of human performance at neuroathletics. At the bottom of the pyramid is the most important thing that you want to bank all of your percentages, I call them, all of your gas onto that, which is exercise. So as long as you're doing your zone 2, 65% of your maximum heart rate for around 2 to 3 hours a week, okay? You want to do at least 2 to 3 strength training sessions. And if you can, include a 20-minute VO2 max session a week.
Okay, and
They're
how
my
would you,
recommendations.
so VO2 max session,
Yeah.
when you say that, what would that entail?
The most robust evidence is around the 4x4 protocol, where you're doing 4 minutes at your maximum,
Okay.
4 minutes complete rest,
Okay, yeah.
repeating 4
So
times.
like a 4-minute sprint, then a 4-minute rest, then
Yeah.
a 4-minute sprint, then
Correct.
a 4 minutes. Okay, sweet.
I usually do it on the stepper. Yeah, it's brutal. It makes you want to vomit, but I do that. So that's your exercise. You really want to monitor sleep. Sleep is huge. It's probably the second pillar.
Yeah.
If you can see, I've made those more important than nutrition.
Yeah.
But nutrition on social media gets the most attention. Sleep, yes, timing matters. Like your 7.5 to 8 hours. For me, I think that's the gold standard. It varies depending on how much effort you put in. But second to that is you want to monitor the timing in which you sleep. So if you can sleep, hopefully, if you were a robot, it would be sleep at the exact same time every day, wake up at the exact same time every day.
Okay.
But we're not. So what you want to do is sleep 80% of the time in that robotic mode.
Okay.
Yeah. best times are 10 p.m. till 6 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Why's that? Is that just to do with like sunset,
Circadian
sunrise?
rhythm, dopamine production, testosterone production, human growth hormone production, and release, I should say. And then the next thing you want to focus on is nutrition. Now, that is so individual. You've got people who are vegans, carnivores. I don't care what you subscribe to. I care more about nutrient profiling. Are you getting enough nutrients and protein in your diet? Protein for me is probably the hardest because I am trying to get around 120 grams a day. As per, I'm 67 kilos, which I've never put out on social media before. I'm 67 kilos.
Yeah.
This morning I was 67.5. I'm not trying to lose. I'm trying to lose body fat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm trying to get minimum 110 grams of protein per day.
110 is good, based on like what we've seen.
Yeah.
110 would be more than enough to hold on to lean mass while you're trying to lose body fat, for sure.
And I think one of the things that we don't talk about either is maintaining a good social circle. You know, your social relationships do a lot for your mind, even inflammation. You know that I study Alzheimer's disease. I also work in neuro-oncology, so a lot of cancer and tumors of the brain and spinal cord. What we find a lot is, I'm writing a case report actually on a tumor resection, but inflammation really sits at the seat of a lot of these metabolic disorders. I'm not saying that cancer is a metabolic disorder. I'm also not saying it's not. But when you look at neurodegenerative diseases, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of the dementias, there is a huge correlation between those diseases and inflammation. Okay. So if you can maintain a happier environment within and around in your social circle with what you eat, how you exercise, you should be okay.
For sure.
And then the accessory items are your ice baths, your saunas, your toxic load.
Yeah.
I swear to God,
They're the little, it's the little 1%ers, right? Where it's like potentially, it's not going to be a make or break, but it could potentially allow slightly more healthy lifestyle, right? I agree. I think even for myself, I'm someone who struggles a lot with mental health and anxiety and stuff, and I find the more social I am, as much as it can tire me out, my social battery isn't always high, I feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, I feel more together, and even the next day or two, it's like I'm less in this place, and I feel more equipped to do things. My work is better, my productivity is better, I'm more comfortable going out and seeing other people, whereas when I withdraw and I'm away from other people, even if I'm doing productive things, I'm training, I'm making content, I'm working, all these things that are supposedly benefiting me in each way, shape or form, if there's no social connection there, if I'm really isolated and withdrawn, all those things start to get harder and harder and harder and harder again. And I find I get slower.
Yeah.
I start to I'm working and I'm stumbling over my words on a Loom video or in a video, and I'm like, why is this happening, sort of thing? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And his brain is still developing. Your brain is still developing. How old are you?
28.
Oh, okay, maybe it's stopped.
I think my brain stopped developing at about 12.
It's hit his peak right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if this is peak I'm screwed.
But no, that was really good. I'm so happy we did that.
Mate, thanks for coming in.
I'm going to show you something that you can do for you're getting, for anyone over the age of 40, right?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Really simple exercise that you can do with 2 balls. Tennis balls you can use, it doesn't matter. One thing that we don't do as we get older is we don't do a lot of our neurocognitive training, which is actually where neuroathletics, my company, derived its name from.
Yeah.
Hand-eye coordination, reaction time, processing speed. These all should be trained as you get older. Yeah. They're the things that we lose, right?
Yeah.
Arguably, memory is the first thing to go, short-term memory, in early stage Alzheimer's disease, like cognitive decline. One of the easiest things that you can do is find a wall and just throw the ball upper hand grip.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we got at the back. There's a big wall out the back there.
You've got 2 balls. You just want to throw the ball and see how I cupped it with the with overhand grip like that. You're kind of try it out.
Glasses for this.
I use a black ball because it's harder to see. So you use more of your visual system.
So am I meant to like throw high, or do I just
What you want to do is,
throw?
see this line here? It's like an invisible line just above your eye.
Yep.
It's easier if you go really high, but I want you to hit it.
Sort of
about
eye
here.
line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, see?
And then am I like trying to catch with the same hand, or can I
You
use
can do
the
that
other
to
hand?
start with. Let's do, yeah. Yeah. And so let's catch with the left hand now.
Oh God.
Yeah. There you go. And then throw with the left hand. There you go. Kind of like, see? And then you get into this rhythm. Don't go too high like I was just then, but you kind of like,
Spot the guy who had no athletic ability as a youngster.
I'm beating
Jeez.
you.
Yeah, I have not caught in a long time. My God.
Yeah.
This is bad.
And then we work in levels. So this is part of our, so we coach coaches, right?
Yeah.
We have a training course just to put out to coaches like yourself, any performance coach who want to understand different levels of longevity. So cognitive performance and sports psychology, or performance psychology, is our module 2, and we teach different levels of this. So that's like level 1. You want to get really hard, so you know that we've got 2 hemispheres of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
The right side of the brain controls the left side of the body.
Okay.
The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. So right now, me doing this or me kicking with the right side, I'm using my left brain.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a contralateral. It kind of decussates. We call it the brainstem. It means it crosses over from left to right, and it goes into the upper motor neurons, and you throw a ball. That's
Okay.
how it works.
So interesting.
So we want to do something like, you want to stand like this now and do the exact same exercise. Now that you've got
On
that
one leg.
with your right hand, but stand up. Yeah. See? This takes a lot of mental energy. If you can do work like this for 10 minutes a day, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Isn't it funny? And
then try and switch over like we did before.
So like switching the.
No, switch your hand. So like this.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. You've got it. See how it takes a lot?
It's funny though. I actually find standing, because all the sports that I used to play, like cricket and stuff like that, a lot of it was like moving on one side.
Yeah.
I actually find it mentally easier to focus on that one leg, probably because I'm working harder.
Yeah.
But I'm actually finding it easier to follow the ball on one leg
Yeah.
than if I'm almost too relaxed when I'm standing
See?
like this and
Yeah.
I'm not moving enough. Like it's almost like my brain's just really, what's the word, like overconfident. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, you'll get it, and I'm missing everything.
Exactly.
But also I have the excuse if I have a lazy eye, so I'm gonna
Oh, there you
play
go.
that one.
Okay, we're going to give him that. But then you can do something like, you get even harder and harder. Then we use we've got strobe goggles. Then we teach like even getting an eye patch for one eye. But then you get really hard, right? I do this with all of my NBA players as a pre-warm-up for their visual system, visual acuity. There's around 20 different parts of your visual system that we train, just in vision, right? You can stand on one leg and you can kind of throw the ball and then do this, like this. And like I did underhand just then. It's like you get even harder like that.
Okay,
it's so easy.
Forcing
grab
each
2
side
balls.
to do something slightly different but similar, right? Like
It's an easy 10-minute drill that you can do at home.
Yeah.
As a 50-year-old, as a 60, 70-year-old, like racket sports are so great for you. But if you can't do that, get 2 balls and just throw the balls to the wall.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, we should do more when I'm in Australia.
100%.
Yeah.
Mate, shoot me a message anytime. I'm around the corner.
Yeah.
It's easy.
We are in, where is this gym? Where do you
Surrey
work?
Hills. Prime Strength, Surrey Hills. Come down for a session. Great gym, great equipment, great people here. Thank you to them for letting us film. If you liked it, drop a subscribe, drop a like. I suppose all our links will just be all down below and stuff. I'm still new to YouTube, so how it
Surrey
works
Hills
and
is like
everything.
the Soho of New York.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Good place.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.